It's a good problem to have for the Lone Star State. How and where to spend a $30 billion mountain of surplus cash? Should lawmakers return much of it to Texas taxpayers? Or make a once-in-a-generation investment to expand and upgrade aging infrastructure across the entire state? During this week of giving thanks, record revenue, sky-high employment, valuable resources, and opportunity without limit. All reasons for an attitude of gratitude in the great state of Texas. I'm Greg Grugan, and welcome to What's Your Point, where our panelists call it like they see it. Let's greet them. Starting us off, Charles Blaine, founder of Urban Reform. Next up, longtime journalist and social worker Chow Win. In the 3 spot, writer, educator, and Chicano activist Tony Diaz. Batting cleanup, Dr. Sergio Lira, president of LULAC Houston. And closing us out, Jackie Bally, professor of political science at UH Downtown. Let's begin. A mountain of unencumbered cash, an estimated $30 billion worth, just sitting in Austin waiting for Texas lawmakers to decide where will it go, how will it be used, and how much should be returned to the Texans from which it was collected. Some of you may be wondering, with the catastrophic pandemic barely in our rearview mirror, just how in the world the Lone Star State generated this kind of windfall. The simple answer: sales tax supercharged by inflation and pent-up demand, combined with skyrocketing revenue shelled out for resources we have a lot of, namely oil and natural gas. According to Texas House Speaker Dade Phelan, the world's 8th biggest standalone economy is currently hitting on all cylinders.
We've added 722,000 jobs in the last year, non-farm jobs in the last year. I don't think any state's anywhere near that, probably not even halfway. Let me just say this: there's no better state to live in this country and to work and raise a family than the state of Texas, without a doubt.
Panel, this $30 billion surplus amounts to $1,000 for every man, woman, and child in the Lone Star State. I offer a simple question: what is the best way to put it to work for the future? I'm going straight to Charles Blaine.
I mean, property tax relief, as they've been saying, and as they should continue saying. I mean, they also got $11 billion in COVID relief aid during the pandemic, $8 billion of which went straight to the state. And so they're sitting on a ton of cash, and they're looking at it wondering what to do. Well, instead of spending it, because this is taxpayer dollars, whether it's coming from federal, state, or local, they should give it back to taxpayers. Maybe not in the form of direct payments, but certainly in the form of property tax relief. They campaign on it every single election cycle. They talk about it every single legislative session, and they have yet to deliver a significant property tax relief measure for the citizens of Texas. And so I think if we want to continue the miracle that he's talking about, continue making this a prosperous place, an affordable place for people to move and live and stay, they need to provide relief for people who are here. And I think that's the best way to do it.
Dr. Sergio Lira, you advocate for the more than 40% of Texas, the population that is Latino. How best to spend this money?
Well, you know, of course, we need to expand public education, in particular the pre-K expansion beyond the Title I schools, because it just gives them an opportunity to have a good head start. The other thing is that we need to invest in the teacher retirement benefits, not only teachers, but the police officers and firemen's benefit. The teacher in particular ranked the lowest next to Louisiana in our nation in terms of benefits for retirees. Also, of course, mental health resources and everything else to help the economy continue to fluctuate upward and support these low-income programs.
Jackie Bally, this is a one-time pot of money, a very big one. Should we, I guess, invest in one-time expenses versus continuing expenses? Dr. Lira talked about raising wages for teachers and whatnot. Is this the type of cash that we can use that money for, raising wages, or should we buy something else?
I definitely believe in investing in our public education system. It's what drives our quality of life. And in Texas in particular, our governor has said since the time he took office that public education is the first and foremost of what he wants to do, and make sure that we increase the revenues that are going in that direction. But most importantly, we want to make sure that the resources go directly in the classrooms to the teachers and to the students. So definitely an investment in public education is a win-win for all Texans.
That sounds like music to your ears, huh, Tony?
No, I agree exactly, because I think that has a big impact. I would add another layer, which would be the arts. And here's why. We're talking about the schools, we're talking about home ownership, we're talking about other economic aspects. The last step then is, how do we bring that home into every community? And for me, as the child of migrant workers who wound up working their way up to lower middle class, yes, strong family, strong school, but at the end of the day, at my house, the books around the house all belong to me. And I tell you, from working in education and the arts, when our youth and adults as well as elders tell their story and feel empowered, they thrive, the family thrives, and the neighborhood thrives. I'd love to see an injection of this funding to those other layers as well as this, and that would have long-term benefit as well, I feel.
Chow Win, you've had a chance to mull this $30 billion mountain of money. Where would you like to see a good chunk of it go?
Well, I'd like to see the state of Texas go from last to first when it comes to mental health care spending. Look, these kids aren't going to do well in school if they don't have the proper mental health care access. So we're talking about kids who face adverse childhood experiences, and we know that leads to addiction, it leads to crime, it leads to violence. If we can meet kids where they are and have them get the proper mental health care access and resources, maybe we will see stronger communities and better families. And look, I'm a trauma therapist, and I can tell you the need is great. And I can't underscore how desperate families are right now to receive mental care, counseling, and resources. We are in a critical juncture in our state.
All right, Charles Blaine, let's get back to the reality of the political landscape. Republicans control every major position in Austin, and they also control the legislature. Are they going to be willing to appropriate this money to basically a whole bunch of social programs?
I mean, I don't know. They've spoken a lot about the mental health issue, but paying lip service to it isn't putting money behind it. So I guess this is going to be a kind of, put up or shut up moment. If they actually care about it, it would be a good opportunity for that. And now they're also talking about infrastructure. So I would say those are probably two of the top priorities, with property taxes in there as well.
We'll talk about more later in the show.